You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
And welcome back. You are listening to Loudbeard Sports. I am your host, Loudbeard, and with me, as always, is the one, the only, the beautiful...
D.
Well, DD, I'm really glad we are back on the airwaves tonight. It is a very, very special night for me. But I will go ahead and start us out with a top 5 before I explain why tonight's such a special night for me. Top 5 reasons why UCF is my national champion.
Okay.
Number 5, best defensive player in the nation. That's right, Shaquem Griffin. Number 4, number 1 scoring offense in all of college football. Number 3, UCF has 4 wins against 10-plus win teams. That's 2 more than the Alabama Roll Tide, who are currently playing in an invitational game that I have no interest in watching.
But it has a bulldog, like an actual bulldog.
It does have an actual bulldog. You're correct. We'll get into that. Number 2, UCF defeated Auburn, and Auburn beat both Georgia and Alabama this year. Weird how that worked out. And number 1, the only undefeated team. That's right, UCF, you are my national champion. If anybody out there follows me, at Kyle Scout Team is my Twitter handle. If you follow me on Twitter, you know all week long I've been screaming from the mountaintops. Dee, have you heard me at all?
I have most certainly heard you, especially since there are no mountaintops in Florida. You've just been using the hill in our backyard.
And it's a very large hill, like 3.5 feet.
Maybe like 2 steps up.
It's a big hill, and I've been screaming from it, from the top of my lungs. I've been doing it on Facebook. I've been doing it on Twitter, anywhere I can. I even threw a little Instagram action in there because I am Loudbeard, and I'm going to get loud, and I'm going to support a cause that I feel like is a worthy cause. So the number 1 news right now, and the number 1 sports news going on right now, is that right now there is a invitational game going on. Yeah, some people at ESPN like to call it a college national championship game, but we know that it's not a national championship game. There's no way it could be a national championship game. You know why, Dee?
Because UCF is not playing.
That's right. The best team in the entire nation is being left out of a game that they're calling a national championship. So we've basically made a farce out of a sport that has been a farce for a very, very long time. They didn't have a playoff until, 3-4 years ago. Before that, they would say, well, let's pick a team, try to make it national champions. Let's have 13 or 14 different polls. If you got to the top of one of those polls, you could be national champion. Let's just not have any set rules or regulations that really make a national champion. So this year, UCF, they said, hey, we're national champions. And you know what? They are correct. The athletic director, Danny White, he has been doing a phenomenal job at making sure that UCF is on the map. He's making sure that UCF is in the mouths of every media member out there. And you know what? It's not all good.
No, it's not.
Because there's some haters.
You're right, especially some very biased haters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you say biased. There's a guy like Paul Feinbaum. He's over there. He's an ESPN guy. He's an SEC network guy. And he is the biggest SEC homer that there is. He's a huge Alabama supporter, has been for years. And he thinks it's terrible that UCF is considering themselves national champions because he's snooty. And you know what he called the fans, UCF fans? You know what he called them?
I don't know. You tell me.
If I was Spanish, I'd say La Cucarachas.
Cockroaches?
He called, this really dignified journalist on ESPN says, UCF fans, they're all cockroaches. Okay, good job there, buddy. Yeah, that's really complimentary. All the UCF fans out there really appreciate you and your negativity, because that negativity is awful. Absolutely awful. And you know what? You're not the only one out there. There's lots and lots of haters out there. But you know what? There's also some guys out there that are really supporting the cause. And I want to say that media members out there, fans locally, everybody that's supporting the cause. Disney World, I appreciate you. You know, the weird part about that is Disney is owned by ABC. Well, ABC is owned by Disney, I should say, because Disney owns everything.
Basically.
The whole planet.
Yep.
So
that's it.
The ESPN is really the cause for all of this havoc, because money is the root of all evil. And ESPN, though they like a good story, and they've really played this UCF National Championship story out because they want to talk about it, because it is the national media, because UCF is a hot topic, because all of the narrative this week was more about UCF than it was about Alabama and Georgia. And you know why that is, Dee?
Because everyone is outraged.
That's right. Everybody is outraged. You know why? Because it is not fair. No. And I mean, I hate to sound like a second grader and say, oh, haha, it's not fair, Johnny stole my toy. But when you have a team that had a record of 13-0, that played as well as this team played this year, beating the likes of Auburn, and all of that negativity when people say, oh, Auburn wasn't motivated.
Yeah, that's just like a slap in the face.
Well, it's a slap in the face, and it's a bunch of BS.
Correct.
That's somebody making an excuse for an SEC team. Oh, yeah, you're an SEC team, you want to be considered an elite team, but you're not motivated to beat UCF. That's a bunch of bullshit. And honestly, the motivation is there because you have seniors on that team that don't want to end their career with a loss.
Right.
You have a coach that doesn't want his team to go out with a loss. He's game planning for UCF for, 3 weeks leading up to this game, because there's such a huge delay from when you do a bowl game on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day from your last regular season game. Now, you think it would make sense to have like a normal playoff, like maybe the FCS. FCS has, I think it's a 16-game playoff. Why don't we do that in the FBS? Because we're elitists.
Right.
The elitist society that is afraid of letting teams that are coming up and actually proving themselves better than 90% of your teams, you're afraid to let them into the dance because you're afraid that they're going to embarrass you
and prove you wrong.
Prove you wrong in front of the entire nation. So as it stands right now, that national invitation game is going on, and myself, Loudbeard, and you, DD,
are not watching.
That's right. We are not watching because we are protesting that game from the beginning till the end. And you know, the sad part is, and you already alluded to this, Dee,
I did,
is that we own a bulldog.
We do. We own a bulldog. Her name is Wendy. Very energetic, very cute. Sometimes I think bulldogs are kind of gross, but you know, we own one. And basically, we have to get rid of her now because we cannot support Georgia.
Well, I don't know about that. I think you're taking that a little bit to the extreme. That little Wendy bulldog is a very cute bulldog. We are not getting rid of her, no matter how much you want to, Dee Dee, you dog-hating fool.
Wow.
I know, harsh, right?
Yeah.
You are a dog-hating fool. So the Georgia Bulldogs are playing right now in this invitational game. We do own a bulldog, so you'd think we would want to watch this game.
But no.
We
don't.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but earlier in the year, I was partially an Alabama fan.
What?
That's right. Game 1, week 1 of college football this year, a very outspoken Florida State Seminoles fan at Max Scout Team, one of my co-hosts of Scout Team Sports, he was very outspoken about how wonderful FSU was going to be this year. And I wanted to prove him wrong. And I did that by saying, you know what? I'm going to adopt Alabama as my team for week 1 of the season. So when Alabama beat FSU, I could gloat and kind of be a little douchey. You know, it kind of happens. And that was my douchey moment of the year. And I did that. So I was an Alabama fan. I have pictures on Twitter showing me wearing an Alabama shirt. I have that shirt. It's up in my
Why would you
dresser
buy
right now.
that?
I actually made it.
Oh?
Yeah, it was very nice. I'm crafty.
You are.
I'm very crafty.
You are.
Very, very crafty,
It's a
matter
very
of fact.
good trait.
So the Alabama shirt that I own, I could be wearing it tonight and supporting Alabama.
No.
But I'm not, because Alabama, though they are a very good team and they deserve to be there, and Georgia, they deserve to be there. I'm not wanting to take a lot away from Georgia and Alabama. I'm just saying that if you want to be the best team in the nation, don't you think you should beat the best team in the nation?
I agree.
Oh, wait, let's leave the best team in the nation out so that our SEC elitism can really soak out. And it's really a Power 5 elitism. Now, the American Athletic Conference, they have been getting crap all year. And this isn't the first time that I've talked about UCF being left out. I talked about this for weeks and weeks leading up.
We did. When they kept being ranked, like in the teens, when they were beating everyone, they would move up like one spot. I can't believe it.
You would see UCF, they would be ranked ahead of a two-loss team. That 2-loss team would jump up in front of them, leapfrog them, and then they would lose again and be a 3-loss team, and then another 2-loss team or another 3-loss team would jump in front of UCF. We call that disrespect.
Disrespect on the name.
And it wasn't because UCF wasn't a better team. It wasn't because they weren't beating good challenges. They weren't beating good teams. I know a lot of people out there say, oh, strength of schedule. Well, I'm sorry. I watched Memphis this year. I watched USF this year. And both of those teams were really talented. And I know you want to say, oh, they're no Power 5 team. Yes, they are. Those teams are better than 60% of the Power 5. UCF on any given Saturday was better than 90% of the Power 5. And I believe they were better than 100%. But I'm going to be reasonable here just for a moment because being reasonable is necessary. Right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we should be reasonable.
I'm always reasonable.
So this should be the outcry that, one, maybe we look at this and maybe it is a Power 6 conference because American Athletic Conference deserves to be a Power 6 because there is very good competition in there. UCF beat Navy this year at home. Navy had a 17-game winning streak at home.
We ruined that.
We did ruin that. UCF came out and showed up at every game this year. They beat every opponent in front of them, including an Auburn team, again, that beat both Georgia and Alabama. And if you want to say they weren't motivated, you're wrong, because those players were motivated. Some of them going into the NBA or NFL draft. Some of them, this was their last game of their careers. Some of them didn't want to go out losing to UCF. Some of them, and probably all of them, or at least the majority of them, played their asses off and they got beat by the better team.
Right.
So I still want to let everybody out there know that UCF, the not Golden Knights, ESPN, you continue to call them that, even though they have not been the Golden Knights since 2002, the UCF Knights are the best team in college football. They are my national champions. And Dee Dee, what do you say to that?
I agree.
Hell yeah, you agree, and you better agree because you'd be kicked out of this place as quickly as that. So I just want to give some shout-outs here because we're going all in UCF. I'm sitting here boycotting the college football playoffs right now. Dee Dee's looking at me like she's got some homework to do, so she's ready to get this show on the road.
No, I just have a headache.
Damn, that sucks.
Yep.
So I'm going to give a shout-out to some really great Twitter follows out there, and these are UCF Twitter follows that everybody should check out. At UCF Sports Info, these guys killing it absolutely killing it every single day. And I just wanted to give them some love. Right now, that UCF guy, that's right, at that UCF guy, he is also boycotting this.
Yeah.
This is a guy that you need to go out and follow. UCF_Nightline. These guys supporting the UCF cause. Go out, support them. One of the best UCF follows I have ever been following here on Twitter, at UCF_problems.
Yep.
Follow that guy. He is also representing UCF like he should be. That was my shout out for some of the local UCF guys that are out there doing the good work.
And it is good work indeed.
It is good work indeed.
We're blowing it up. Everyone's talking about it. We're just blowing it up.
That's right. We're out there. We're part of the solution. We're not part of the problem. We are creating a better world, a better society for our children, for us, for our grandchildren. We're creating a society where we don't have a bunch of bigotry.
Right. That's enough.
A bunch of hate. There's hate mongering going on
All
right now.
you're getting off track.
All right, what else do you want to talk about, Dee? Hey, I do want to say, and we're going to get off track here a little bit, because UCF, I spent 15 minutes talking about it, and I could spend another hour and a half talking about it. But we do have some other things we can talk about on the show. Number one, we haven't had a show in, 3 weeks? We had New Year's, we had Christmas.
Christmas, Three Kings Day, weddings.
Yep, we were at a wedding this last weekend in Baltimore. Freaking cold.
Oh my gosh. Cold doesn't even begin to describe it. It was the night of the wedding. It said it felt like 0. Have you guys ever been in 0-degree weather? I don't think so. If you're from Central Florida, no.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, I was born up north, but that was about it, because I've been in Florida my whole life after that. And that just means to me that my blood is thin. I don't have a thick enough coat.
Nope.
I don't have thick enough socks.
Nope.
I don't have thick enough underoos.
Nope.
I just don't have it. I just don't have what it takes to be a northerner.
I don't even think Florida sells winter coats. Like, where would you even get one in Florida?
Me?
Yeah, like a winter coat.
I don't know. Maybe it would be on the 99% off rack because nobody's buying them because you never need one down here.
Right. I guess. I mean, I don't even know. You don't need jackets here.
So, Baltimore, cold, right? You need jackets there.
Yes, you need jackets, coats, socks, fuzzy socks to clarify, gloves, all these kinds of things. And then once you step inside a building, it's like you're sweating. So then you have to take off all those layers, and then as you're about to go out, you have to put them all back on. I don't get it. I hate layers.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. Usually here in Central Florida, we're wearing, just like...
Next to nothing.
Yeah, next to nothing. I agree with that. So we missed the warm weather, but we did get to enjoy Baltimore. We went to a wedding up there. Shout out to the happy couple that we got to see wed. Kudos to them.
Yep.
For tying the knot in 2018.
Kudos. On Three Kings Day.
On Three Kings Day. And in the Inner Harbor, we could look out and we could see Camden Yards.
Yes.
One of the most beautiful baseball stadiums there are. We also could see the Ravens Stadium, which sat kind of empty.
Well, you explain that one.
Well, if you can't make the playoffs, you don't have a game.
Right.
So,
and then it just looks sad as you're passing by an empty stadium.
That's very true. I agree. And there were other playoff games that the Ravens could have been involved in, but they weren't. We had some other really good playoff games. Well, when I say really good, this first one I bring up may not have been the best game in the world. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Buffalo Bills Mafia.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So this was a high-powered offense against another high... Wait, no, I can't say that with a straight face. This was a good defense going up against a great defense, and a bad offense going up against a bad offense.
Okay.
But UCF legend... Oh, go ahead.
So defense was really what held these games together?
Well, defense is your best offense.
That's true.
Or so I say.
Or so I've been told.
So starting out with the Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars, the reason I start out with them is because the Jacksonville Jaguars have an amazing quarterback who is a UCF legend, and that is Blake Bortles. They also have one of the best cornerbacks in the league. They actually have two of the best cornerbacks in the league, one of them being A.J. Boye.
Boye? Sounds like Chef Boyardee.
Also, UCF legend.
Oh, goodness.
That's right. We're going to be talking about some UCF players in the NFL as we get A.J. Boye and Blake Bortles.
Bortles.
So, this was kind of a sloppy game. Really sloppy game.
Oh.
You had 3 points total scored by the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, gosh.
And 10 points scored by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's pitiful.
It is pitiful, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, in my opinion, have the best defense in the NFL. And that defense can help carry them to a championship.
That is true.
And I'm not so sold that the Pittsburgh Steelers can beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Interesting.
And I said it on our Scout Team Sports show. I said, the two teams that I'm back in this playoff run, one is the Saxonville Jaguars, and number 2 is the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles, I may be a little silly with this one. I kind of have family that lives up there. I want to go for it. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, because I know they're being led by a winner in Blake Bortles. And I know they have a defense that is the best defense in the entire league because of guys who make the all-pro team like A.J. Boye. That's right, UCF legend. I know that this team has an opportunity to take it a long way. Now, what was a little concerning is that Blake Bortles did better running the ball than he did passing the ball, but he made plays.
That's okay.
He made plays with his feet when he really needed to make plays.
What?
He did it.
His feet?
Yeah, well, it wasn't
He
playing
kicked the
soccer.
ball?
No, like running.
Oh,
yeah, like with his feet. Make a play with your feet, you run.
Yeah.
You get it now?
You gotta clarify.
I'm sorry. You football players sometimes don't understand all of the terminology.
Nope, we get a little confused.
So the Jacksonville Jaguars, congratulations to them for their playoff win. This is not a franchise that is known for winning. This is not a franchise that hasn't had a ton of opportunities in the playoffs, but it is nice to see that they came up with a win. The Bills, another team that has not been in the playoffs a lot. It was good to see them out there. They were fighting, but they definitely have some deficiencies on offense. Tyrod Taylor looked horrendous. And then they put in their backup Peterman for the last series of the game because Tyrod Taylor got hurt. And Peterman throws another interception. The guy's played like maybe 30 minutes of NFL football, and he's already got 6 interceptions in his career. Not a good stat for a quarterback.
Not a good stat at all. You're a quarterback. You're not wanting to do that.
Tennessee Titans, they play the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are up 21-3 at halftime. If you're the coach, I would assume that you would run the ball a little bit more, especially when you have a talented backfield featuring Kareem Hunt. But Andy Reid decided that, maybe not running the ball as much and letting the Titans slip back in. Marcus Mariota, who is the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, you know what he actually did?
No, I don't.
It was an amazing feat.
He kicked the ball.
He did not kick the ball.
Darn.
He threw a touchdown pass to himself.
What?
That's right. He threw the ball. It got batted up in the air by a defensive player. He ran over, grabbed the ball, ran into the end zone.
Oh, my gosh.
It was one of the coolest plays I've ever seen, and it was kind of fitting that that kind of play knocked the Chiefs out of the playoffs. And I didn't have the Chiefs picked. I didn't have the Titans picked. I was going all in on Chiefs. I thought they had looked better the last few weeks. I was surprised by the Chiefs, I'll be honest. I don't know what to say about that game. That was just kind of hard to
decipher.
Yeah, it was really hard to kind of pick that game. And I guess after the Super Bowl last year when the Falcons blew it, Chiefs felt like that was the best thing to do is go ahead and blow their game. So Titans, big victory there. They'll have a tough matchup coming up against the New England Patriots, so we'll see how that all plays out. Falcons-Rams, another situation where you got your best player on the field is Todd Gurley. You got to get him the ball a little bit more. But the Falcons, they just had way too much experience. They have that playoff experience. They have that Super Bowl experience.
And they want to get back to redeem themselves.
That's right, redemption. Don't count out redemption. I like where you're going with that, Dee.
Yeah.
When somebody's motivated by redemption, you can do things that you never thought you could possibly do.
Right.
So Rams just come up a little bit short. Falcons with a big win. And then we have the last game of the wild card weekend was the Panthers and the Saints. This one ended up being a thriller.
Yes.
Saints had a good lead going, and the Panthers made it interesting at the very end. So interesting that Cam Newton got knocked out, basically stumbling around like a Looney Tune on the field. And you know what they said?
He's good.
He's good.
He's good. He can play.
Hey, Cam, rub some dirt on it. Get back in the game, bro.
Yeah. It's just your head.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Your brain, it'll grow back.
Yeah.
You know, that damage, it's not permanent. It's only semi-permanent, and the semi part doesn't count, so it's really permanent.
Yeah.
But get back in the game. So at that point, it's a playoff game. The Panthers knew that the only chance that they had to win that game was Cam being in the game. They did a slight concussion protocol, but man, that was a bad look for the Panthers. It was a bad look for the NFL. The rule is that guy goes into concussion protocol when he's stumbling off the field like that because he is the star player, the number one offensive weapon for the Panthers. They didn't do it. What do you think about that? You think head injuries are a joke, Dee Dee?
No, I think that's stupid. Like, he could have long-term damage because of this.
He probably still has long-term damage in the short term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's right. That is right, and it is always right, and I am always right. Just remember that, Dee Dee.
No, that's not true.
Only when I talk about UCF and I know I'm right. No? You got nothing for that?
Nope, I got nothing.
Oh, my gosh. All right, so I've rambled on and on and on because I'm a Loudbeard, and that's what I do, and that's okay because you're going to listen anyway, and if you don't, I don't care. I'm going to speak my mind about what I want to speak about.
Yeah.
So
you tell him.
That's right. That's right. So Dee Dee, normally we do a beer of the week. I do not have a beer in front of me. I'm doing the old typical, it's New Year's, I need to go on a diet. I'm going to try to cut back a little bit. My beer belly's growing on me a little bit. I gained that winter padding, if you know what I mean.
Right.
They call it a spare tire. I call it a spare Suzuki.
What the heck is a Suzuki?
A Suzuki. It's a little Jeepy.
Suzuki.
Yeah, a little Jeep truck. Like, I didn't get the tire. I got the whole car. And so I'm trying to diet a little bit. But this past weekend, we were at a wedding, and you cannot go to a wedding without doing a little drinky. And I had to experience a little bit of the local flavor there in Baltimore. You know what the local beer is? That's the number one popular beer there.
It's not a national, I don't know the rest of the name.
It was the National Beer of Bohemia, I think is the name of the beer.
That, but that's not what you call it.
And that is not what you call it.
If you're from Baltimore, which we're not, but we're going to pretend we were.
You call it Natty Bo.
Natty Bo.
And I got corrected by the bartender. This was a moment in my life that I didn't feel like I had really done myself a service. I consider myself a beer guy. I should have maybe done a little bit more research. I haven't been to Baltimore in a very long time, and this is the first time I ever drank in Baltimore. And I got myself one of the beers. I say, hey, give me a beer, bartender. He hands me one of the Natty Bows. And so I go, I finish it pretty quickly. I'm thirsty, you know how that goes as a beer drinker. And I get back over to the table, and I'm like, okay, I'm finished my beer. Let me go back over and say hi to the bartender and say, hey, bartender, can you get me one of these National Bohemian beers?
And he's like, looks at you, and he just kind of stares a little.
Yeah, he's looking at me like I have like 17 eyes.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're not from around here, are you, son? I said,
that's so funny.
No, son, I am not from around here. Why? What did I do wrong? And he said, son, it is a Natty Bow here in Baltimore. That's what we call it. That's what it is.
Did he actually say son?
He did. And I said, sir, I appreciate you being honest with me, and I'll drink myself a Natty Bo, and I promise you I will never call it a National Beer of Bohemia ever again.
Well, good
and
story.
I was schooled.
Good story.
So my beer of the week is a Natty Bo. Drink it up. Actually, delicious beer. Had several of them. Very, very good beer. If you're ever in Baltimore, you got to check out a Natty Bo. And if you call it the wrong name, they will call you out in a second. I've been called out. I don't know what else to say about that.
Oh, no, you're not from there.
Yeah, they might say that you're from Pittsburgh or one of those other weird states.
Yeah.
Or cities.
Or cities.
Or city states. Who knows?
Oh.
Who knows?
Who knows?
All right, Dee Dee. I didn't do a beard or a baby face of the week because both of those would be UCF, and we all know the truth. The number one team in the nation is UCF, my national champions, everybody else's national champions, and at that, I want to say that I really need a good, humorous way to end the show. Dee Dee, is there anything that you could possibly think of that would be a good, very funny, but not too funny way to finish the show? Dee Dee, do you have anything at all?
I do.
And what would that be?
Dad jokes. In the middle of the street, dad jokes. In the paint aisle of Home Depot, dad jokes. In the garden section at Lowe's, dad jokes. Yeah.
Woo!
New year, new dad jokes.
That's right.
That's
Dad
right.
me up.
Dad
Dad it up.
Are you Cam Newton now?
I'm Fig Newton. Boy.
Ew, I don't know what that was. But anyways, number 1. What did one toilet say to the other?
Achoo.
No. You're looking a bit flushed.
Oh. Keep it going, Dee Dee.
Number
These are
2.
good.
How do you cut the ocean in half?
I don't know. How do you...
Use a seesaw.
What?
Number 3. I bought a dog this morning from a blacksmith. Within 10 minutes of getting him home, he made a bolt for the door.
Boo! Those blacksmiths, they're very crafty. Very crafty.
And very common.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, because we've got a blacksmith on one side of the neighborhood, then we got one on the other side, and then there's one on the east side, the far east side. So, I mean, we've got a blacksmith on every corner. Very common.
Yeah, we're surrounded by blacksmiths.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening in. I appreciate you for understanding my rant and raves about UCF because they are the national champions, and I appreciate everybody for listening in and for doing what they do. I appreciate you, Dee Dee, for spitting your gum out on the tablecloth.
I didn't spit it out, it fell out.
And as always, you can check us out at Podbean. ScoutTeamRadio.com is where you can check us out on iTunes. Subscribe, comment, good, bad, indifferent. I don't care. Put your comments out there.
Yeah.
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 All right. And this Scout is out.